وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. نويت التعلم والتعليم والتذكر والتذكير والنفع والانتفاع والإفادة والاستفادة والحث على التمسك بكتاب الله وسنة رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم والدعاء إلى الهدى والدلالة على الخير ابتغاء وجه الله مرضاتي وقربي وثوابي سبحانه وتعالى وإلى حضرة النبي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. الفاتحة. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين. Alhamdulillah, today we are at page 31, and this is the part of the book which I believe is the most important and which actually is the essence of the book itself, because it actually documents the importance, the pertinence of having a guide or a teacher that can guide. And therefore, this is basically the essence of this book, which is talking about how a teacher advises the student. All right, on how, and then subsequently it tells us about the importance of what is the criteria that is necessary when we look out for teachers or guides. So actually, this is the chapter which is actually that holds the whole book together, right? So that we actually know that as we move on in life, the pertinence or the importance of having a teacher that can guide us, right, in making decisions in life, or at least knowing of someone that is learned, that when we need to make decisions, we turn to this person, right, for advice and counsel. So we are at page 31. I would just like to reiterate, while we are looking at the second paragraph of page 31, but just to reiterate the first two criteria that was mentioned last week in looking for a teacher, that the teacher himself must be learned. All right, the teacher himself must be someone who is learned. So that because a part of being a teacher is you have to convey knowledge. You can't convey knowledge to people if you yourself are not knowledgeable. Part of being a guide is that you have to be morally upright. You can't be someone who talks morality to someone if you are morally compromised. So it's important for one to therefore acknowledge that if you choose a teacher or choose a guide, it has to be learned. And the second part is you have to understand that to choose a teacher is someone who turns away from the love of prestige and power. All right, turns away from the love of it. And therefore, your teacher might be someone who has something that might resemble, who might be in possession of something that resembles power or might resemble prestige. For example, that does not mean that if your teacher is wealthy, your teacher cannot be your guide. If someone is wealthy, that person cannot be a guide. If someone is holding a position, that person cannot be a guide. All right, but it depends on how attached that someone is to a particular position or that particular stature or that particular wealth that he has. All right, if someone who is poor, but then that does not make that person also automatically qualified to be a teacher as well. If someone who is poor but has a great craving to be wealthy, then that person cannot qualify to be a teacher because his heart is not at peace with what Allah has ordained for him. But if someone who is wealthy, but then he is thankful and contented and does not see the wealth, but just a means for him to reach out to the needy, then that part does not actually prevent him from being a good guide to someone. In fact, a wealthy guy, a wealthy teacher might turn out to be a good guide to a society that is affluent. So a society that is rich, all right, and they do not know how to manage their wealth or do not know how to deal with the wealth in this world as a bridge to the hereafter, might need a teacher who is able to guide them to do so, and that teacher must be someone who is wealthy, because then the teacher will be able to relate to them and they'll be able to relate to the teacher in return. So that is important for us to know that. So actually, sometimes we have a preference for a teacher because that teacher has something about him that actually is relatable to us, whether it be in personality, whether it be in age, whether it be in character. All right, so that you find that. All right, if you tread a path to finding a teacher and you end up with a teacher, you always find that, hey, there's something about this teacher that I can relate to. That also tells us that when we read about the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, I always say, have a companion that you can relate to. The Prophet ﷺ has 124,000 companions. All right, according to some narrations, he has a lot of companions. Find one companion of the Prophet that you can particularly relate to. Maybe in terms of personality, in terms of strength, in terms of attribute. So when you read, oh, this one I can relate, and make this your personal favorite. So when I was young, all right, one of the companions that I look up to, that I always look forward to, that I want to know everything about is Sayyidina Hamza bin Abdul Muttalib. When I was young. So every time you hear the name Sayyidina Hamza, it just gets me thrilled to find out. So when I read about him, all right, when I hear someone talk about him, when I hear a sermon about him, all right, and in the past, in the Friday sermons, they will always recite the name of the 4 caliphs, all right, Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali, and then they will also, all right, send salutations, all right, to Sayyidina Abbas and Sayyidina Hamza in the Friday sermon last time, in between the 2 khutbah. And I will always look forward. It's like a fanboy thing. You look forward to the name of Sayyidina Hamza being mentioned. It doesn't help also that Anthony Quinn starts to play Sayyidina Hamza in the movie The Messenger of God. Then you start to look at, oh, mashallah, this is this. But then when you read more about Sayyidina Hamza, you find that even for the stature of Anthony Quinn and his charisma, it's nowhere near that of Sayyidina Hamza. No, Sayyidina Hamza, there was an instance of Sayyidina Hamza. He was the first companion that was to lead a patrol. So when the Muslims entered into Medina and Medina was established as a Muslim community, the first companion that was established to be on patrol was led by Sayyidina Hamza bin Abdul Muttalib, carrying the Muslim flag. All right. When he did his patrol one day, they encountered, there were 30 of them. So 30 of them doing doing patrol outside of Medina. All right, doing security patrol and border patrol, and then they came across 300 mushrikins, 300 disbelievers. There was tension, but the 300 disbelievers backed off. And you imagine Sayyidina Hamza, that kind of stature that he has 30, and they have 300. But there must be something about Sayyidina Hamza. There must be something about Sayyidina Umar bin Khattab. Right? So when you read about the companions, find one that you can attribute to. Right? Even for the women, even for the ladies, which companion, all right, amongst the Sahabiya, all right, that you can actually relate to, that you can find some that you can emulate to. So have that collection. While our children are looking at football players, that they wear their jerseys and try to juggle and have their skills, why not look at some of the companions and see the attributes that they have? All right. So that was one when I was in Tarim. My teacher there, Sheikh Walid, he's my history teacher, right, in Tarim, and he used to tell me that if Khalid bin Walid, Sayyidina Khalid bin Walid, if he was amongst us today, even Bill Gates would be a far cry from him. Right? Even Bill Gates will struggle to have an IQ that of Sayyidina Khalid bin Walid, and that is proven true. When I read about Sayyidina Khalid bin Walid and his tactics in the battlefield, you'll find that it's amazing. All right, about his IQ, you're able to make decisions in a split second. Now let's look at the next attributes of a murshid. All right, murshid here, let's get it right. It is from the base word roshada. All right, roshada, which means guide. All right, so murshid is a guide. Okay, so if you have a teacher, is one thing. To have a teacher to guide is a blessing. All right, so sometimes some of us here teachers, they are teachers who go through the motion in class. You know, teachers, they come and teach and they leave the classroom. But there are teachers that they come to class and then they see particular students and they see that the students have some issues and struggles, and they say, see me after class. And after they pull the student aside, say, what's up with you today? You're not your normal self. You're not paying attention in class. You're normally okay. Or teacher marks an assignment, they are just eager to pass or fail. But some teachers, when they mark, and then after that they see that this student who's regularly doing well and he's doing badly, the teacher finds out why. This is the trait of a murshid. Right? So part of this lesson is that apart from you, all right, looking for a murshid for your spiritual path, try to emulate some traits of a murshid. All right, in your normal life, when you see people, do not just go beyond the superficial, do not just go into the superficial. Oh, he's good, he's fine, but find out, all right, to see how you can help a person better. All right, so that everyone finds the essence of life. The murshid should have excelled in disciplining himself in scarcity of food, speech, and sleep, and in abundance of prayer, charity, and fasting. Now, that's why I said last week, I cannot be a murshid. All right, so it is not easy. All right, so some people know, I see some of the younger people, they like to accumulate followers. In terms of followers, you know, we go around having I used to see a friend, a young man, all right, he goes around at such a young age, he has people carrying his sandals for him, carrying his books for him. I say no. All right, look at this. A murshid should have excelled in disciplining himself in scarcity of food, doesn't eat much. Not someone who looks for food, not someone who craves for food, not someone who says, oh, we should eat here. You can have a preference for food. All right, you can have a preference for food, but if the food is not there, you don't look for it. And that's the way of the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet has his preference for food. There is certain food, if you read in the Shama'il, that the Prophet likes. Right? He likes the front legs of a sheep or a goat. He likes the front legs rather than the forelegs. And that also shows the Prophet ﷺ's controlled desire, because usually it's the hind legs that has the most meat. But the Prophet prefers the forelegs, the front legs. All right. So you have a preference for something, but you don't desire it, you don't crave it. All right. So for as long as you have a crazy, you wake up to the idea of food. If you wake up to the idea of what should I have for breakfast today, all right. If you wake up to the idea that I should have this for breakfast today, all right, or you go to bed thinking tomorrow I shall have this for breakfast, then we are all not qualified to be a murshid. If you go to bed thinking about having crave nasi lemak the next day, or you're waking to a big breakfast morning, all right, then we are not yet qualified to be a murshid. All right, a murshid wakes up and then if there is food, there is food. If there is no food, then he fasts. That's why the greatest murshid is the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Went home, asked Aisha, what is there available? There's no food. Okay, no, there's no problem. It's fine. All right, then we'll fast for the day. That is the way of a teacher. All right, teacher curbs. All right, the trait of teacher that he curbs the desire for food. Okay. Speech. A teacher doesn't speak much unless necessary. So the teacher is not someone who likes to speak. And even when he speaks, it's like pearls coming out from his mouth. It's out of advice. It is out of care. It is out of concern. So speech today in contemporary times is into two, all the more. All right. Speech that is spoken and speech which is typewritten. Okay. So you notice a teacher, all right, a good guy, example of a good guy is one that whose speech is measured. It comes only at certain times and is always good, profound advice. It is not reactionary. It is not something that is given in argument. All right, no, a teacher is someone that actually speaks. All right, regardless of situation, regardless of context, he speaks the truth. All right, and he doesn't speak unless necessary. Okay, so I learned this at a young age. So my late teacher, Almarhum Kiai Qasim, I used to take a car ride with him before. So when we were young last time, I used to learn with my teacher's daughter. So we learned with Ustazah Aisha. We used to learn, all right, who's the, if just to know some fun facts, all right, Ustazah Aisha is the parent of Ustaz Hanan Farihin, all right, who's not the Imam of Masjid Al-Falah. So I used to learn from her, from I was in primary 1 to primary 6 to learn religion from her. All right. So during in madrasah last time, part-time madrasah, we have a thing called primary 6, we have PSLE. So part-time madrasahs last time we have PSLE. The problem was that I was learning, right? I was learning in her company, in her house, not at a proper part-time madrasah. So therefore, when it comes to the actual primary 6 PSLE for madrasah, I have to be attached or registered to a mosque. So we were all attached to this mosque called Masjid Hajar Rahimabi, which is in Kim Kiat. So therefore, on the day of the examination, I will have to be ferried along with some of my friends, all right, who study with Ustazah Aisha, all right, to the place for examination like any other normal candidate. All right, so we registered that. So that's the background story. So on one of those occasions, on those occasions, we were supposed to be ferried by Almarhum Kiai. All right, Almarhum Kiai Qasim, he is supposed to ferry us there. So we were supposed to ferry us there. So inside that car, that travel, me up till now, I'm like that. So I engage in conversation with everyone in the car. Talking, talk, all the way till Kim Kiat, took the exam, Masjid Rahimabi, and then came back. All right, talk, all right, and that's it. So that was the story. So one day my mom came to me. So my mother is also a student, is a senior student of Almarhum Kiai Qasim. So one day she came back from class and says, "You talk a lot in the car, do you?" I says, "You are the one who talk a lot in the car, do you?" I says, "What's wrong?" I said, it annoyed the teacher, right? Yeah, annoyed Kiai, because when he travels, all right, he doesn't like to be distracted by noise. He just wants to be in zikr. When he takes the car, it's all zikrullah. So you be silent. So from there on, I learned, right? I learned that teachers, all right, they don't like to open their mouth unless necessary. So therefore, whenever I take a car with any of my teachers from there on, I don't start the conversation. I will just keep my peace. And if the teacher starts the conversation, then I will go on from there. So you take your cue from your teachers. Or you take your cue from your teachers. Of course, there are some teachers who like to engage with you because when they engage with you, all right, it is advice to you. That's not a problem. All right. But the most important lesson I learned from another teacher, Ustaz Afandi, is that when you are in the presence of teachers, do not be the one that speaks more than your teachers. Because you are there when you're in a company of teachers, it's like you waiting for the pearls to come out from his mouth and you're going to take it. Whereas from our mouth, we don't have pearls to offer. It's just rotten durian seeds. All right, it's coming out from our mouth. So keep our peace because you are the one that's in need, not them in need of our words. All right. So that is the way of being a teacher. So, Ustaz, why is it that we have some protocols? The purpose of being a student is what? The purpose of being a student is not to be intelligent per se, but to be actually in control of your nafs. That's why you need a guide to control your desires to speak, to eat, to sleep too much. That is what you have a teacher for. It's not just for you to be for knowledge to be transmitted to you, for you to accumulate knowledge. No, to have a teacher is to make sure that you are inwardly upright as well, so that you are controlled. All right. So you notice that if you're in the company of a teacher, one of the things you'll see that you start to control yourself. You start to be wary of how you speak. All right. You're becoming less impulsive. That's a sign of someone who has benefited from a teacher. That when you want to say something, you start to think. All right. You start to consider your actions and ramifications. All right. And an abundance of prayer, charity, and fasting. And I notice, therefore, I see all my teachers, they are people who don't desire a lot of sleep. They will tell you to sleep. So our teachers, right, including Sheikh Ahmad Al-Azhari, he used to advise me, sleep a lot. Sleep is important. He will tell you to sleep, but he doesn't sleep a lot. He doesn't sleep a lot. You wake up and you see text from him giving advice. When does he sleep? And he's doing his PhD. When does he sleep? All right, so they don't sleep much. All right, my late teacher, he will sleep as early as he will sleep at 10. All right, after Isha, he will not spend too much time. He will sleep before 10. He will wake up. All right, what time will he wake up? He'll wake up at 3 a.m. 3 a.m. is considered his wake up time. And he will be all the way awake up till 9 to 10 a.m. in worship. From 3 to 10. All right, from 3 to 10. So there was one time one of the senior students of my late teacher accompanied on a travel to Bandung on a travel to Bandung, spend the night with him. All right, in the room. One night he woke up. This senior student. All right, he was woken up at 5. All right, he was woken up at 5 a.m., which is that time is 4 a.m. there. All right, 1 hour before Fajr. And he thought 4 a.m. before Fajr is a good time to wake up. But my teacher reprimanded him, no, this is late. 1 hour before Fajr to wake up for Qiyamul Lail for Tahajjud is late. It should be 3 or 4 hours before that. All right, so teachers, they have really high standards for themselves. And there is one thing also about teachers. A teacher's trait is that he is usually very forbearing towards his students, but he is always very hard upon himself. Notice a teacher, they sleep less, they eat less, they talk less, but they are actually very understanding and tolerant towards their students, asking their students to eat more, asking their students to sleep more. And this is the way of the Prophet ﷺ. He is very hard upon himself. That's why there are so many narrations of the Prophet ﷺ. When he prays, all right, he prays the Tarawih. Remember why the Tarawih was issued, the debate about the Tarawih? Because he didn't want it to be something that was obligatory upon the companions. So halfway when he saw that there was an accumulation of companions in the mosque praying behind him, he feared that it will be obligatory. He quickly went to his room. So the Prophet was always someone that was very hard on himself, but he was very easy on the companions. And those are the teacher's traits. You always make it easy for you. All right? But as a student, you do not take your teacher's words lightly. You always give a significant amount of weightage to their words in your considerations. Okay? So, in abundance of prayer, charity, and fasting. He should have kept the company of a sheikh. This is the next trait. So the first one, the third one I said, all right, the first one is about him being learned. Second is not in desire of worldly pleasures. Thirdly, all right, is discipline. Fourth is like a teacher, all right, if you're looking for a teacher or guide, that teacher or guide himself must be guided by another guide. So one of the traits of a good teacher is that he has teachers above him. All right, so he cannot be self-learned. All right, a teacher cannot be self-learned, and neither should we. All right, because remember, the learning process requires both. All right, the imparting of knowledge as well as the guiding of the soul. And both of these need, guys, come on, even without talking about religious knowledge, we have to go to schools. We have to employ someone, we have to get someone to teach us even the knowledge that we consider worldly. Because we know that even our capacity, all right, as much as we can read and learn something on our own, there's always a limitation that can only be breached by someone who has the experience and the wisdom to take us to the next level. Is it possible for someone to learn physics by just reading a physics book? You can learn physics all you want and read from all the book, and you might know the knowledge. But a wiser person will know from that knowledge which is one that's applicable, which is of the higher order. Because for a normal person like us, when we read, we decide for ourselves what is high, what is low, which is not necessarily accurate. So having a teacher is always important because of the fact that a teacher, all right, who has a teacher will have gone through the process and will be able to empathize with a student. So a teacher must be someone who has been a student before. A teacher must be someone who has been a student before. Therefore, he will be compassionate towards his student as well, because I was in your position once. He'll be understanding. He'll be tolerant. He knows which buttons to press. He knows when we are slackening. He knows when we are genuinely exhausted. So he knows when to ask the right questions. He knows when is the time for him to actually push and when for him to actually hold his counsel and wait for the right time to tell us. This is part of being a teacher. All right, and therefore find a teacher that is guided by a teacher. Therefore, you know that this teacher's knowledge is not based on desires. That this teacher's mannerism is not based on his own desires. It is guided prior to that. That's why you always look, when you look at the biography of teachers, look at the teachers' facts about our teachers, you'll always find that a great teacher, even in our times, will always have teachers before him. Will always have teachers before him. Okay. He should have kept the company of a sheikh with deep insight. And one of the beautiful things that you can see as a student is when your teacher has a teacher who is still alive. And then you can learn ethics and etiquette, all right, from the teacher, from your teacher. All right, so if you're able to see your teacher in the presence of his teacher, you will see another side of your teacher. All right, you see the humility of himself. You see how he is a student like you before his teacher. And that will set the parameters for yourself. Oh, that is how I should behave before a teacher. And that is how your teacher becomes a great teacher. And that's why we are not teachers yet. All right, look at how the humility they are. Look at the focus and attention they have when they are before their teachers. All right, and this is sadly something that is lacking in society today. The basic acknowledgement of hierarchy, the basic acknowledgement of respect for those who are elderly or more knowledgeable than us. All right, so the Prophet says in the hadith, "Laisa minna man lam yuwakkir kabirana wa yarham saghirana." Not from amongst us are those who have no respect for the elderly and no compassion for the young. And in another hadith, right, in the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ says, "Laisa minna man lam ya'rif li'alimina haqqahu." Not from amongst us are those who do not know the rights of the learned amongst them. And this can be seen even in our schools today. You're not talking about religious schools, talking about schools in general. Students do not have that respect. All right, not that the teachers crave for it, but the students do not actually know. All right, the students do not actually know that this is someone who's carrying a certain level of knowledge that they are going to take from, and therefore you have to give certain level of respect. All right, and decorum towards this. No, it doesn't happen anymore. All right, in our times, last time, as naughty as we were, as devilish as we were, when we see a teacher, all right, when we see a teacher, there is some level of respect. But now we don't have that. And you know what's the problem? Sometimes parents. The parents already set the tone that these teachers are someone that's subservient to me. I'm paying them. Some parents have that idea. I'm paying them. I'm paying their bills. I'm paying their salary. Right? So the students have that self-entitledness. So when parents feel self-entitled about the teachers, the child will follow suit. So I say that in today's education system, the most pertinent thing above all the things, where the AI, all right, and artificial intellect, you must work on the genuine spirituality, on the genuine mannerisms. Get the child to be on basic manners. You know, in our school last time, or in our school when we were young last time, we have this book called Civics and Moral Education. We have this Malay textbook called Rakyat Yang Baik, A Good Citizen. We have that book last time. What happened to those books? Sadly, teachers will see those books as what? Today there's no moral education. Why? Because today we're going to learn physics. Today we're going to learn primary school. Today there's no Rakyat Yang Baik. Why? I have to finish up on my English syllabus. I have to finish on the math syllabus. When you do those things, automatically, all right, you are telling the student implicitly that your morals don't matter, but your grades matter more. Look at where we place those of you who are teachers today, where we place our character education lessons now in classes. All right, where do we place them and the amount of time is given to them? It's always at the end side of the day, end part of the day, or the starting part of the day. Oh, starting part of the day, is it because it is a priority? No, get it out of the way. End part of the day is not important. It is not that. If character was so important as part of education, it should be embedded as part of your lesson, part of your syllabus, part of your physics lesson, part of your character, of your chemistry lesson, part of your history lesson should talk about character. You should find a way to find that character becomes part of something that's important as well. It is not supposed to be peripheral, it's not supposed to be complementary, it's not supposed to be something that just is on the wayside that you can do without. Students know that. Students know that lessons about character is when teacher comes in, oh, he's going to get preachy. Oh, this is something that's not important. The mindset is not there. Until the day we actually raise the level of education to the point where character becomes more pertinent, if not as pertinent, as the key subjects you are teaching in school nowadays, we will always face a crisis in terms of character and behavior in our generation. We will always find that problem. And that's why teachers will always struggle because the mannerisms are not there. All right. In religion, on contrary, lessons like tasawwuf, like we are learning today, akhlaq is something that's the highest level. In fact, the function of the prophet of the highest order is innama bu'ithtu li utammima makarimat akhlaq. That I'm sent to you to perfect your mannerisms. Wa innaka la'ala khuluqin azim. That the prophet was sent as to show the best of manners. So mannerisms, ethics, behavior is something that is very centripetal, that is core to other forms of knowledge. We don't have that today, and we have to constantly try. So we have to make it. If you are teachers, all right. If you are parents, if you are teachers, educators, make it your central, your main point. The grades are important, but they shall never overtake the role of character. They should never overrule the role of making the student respectful towards others, not just yourself, but towards them. You know, kids nowadays, they are very self-centered. All right, outwardly and inwardly, they feel entitled to say the worst of swear words. All right, their sentences are punctuated with swear words. The F word in particular. I have to spend one lesson one day, or to suspend one lesson one day, to stop one lesson one day, because I was walking when I was in class, I was walking from table to table. I saw one student. All right, so he had this keychain. A long keychain. He's one of the nicest students. He was having a keychain, right? Keychain and some wordings. And on the outwardly, it does look like the word of Pokemon. You know, the Japanese cartoon character, Pokemon. Oh, Pokemon. Cute. Because I thought this guy is so buff a guy. Well, so into Pokemon. Upon closer look, I saw that he was referring to, in a swear word, all right, a mother's genitalia. Whatever you know that means, right? So it's not Pokemon, it is something, it's a word play of a swear word. I was infuriated. All right. No, it's okay, brother. If you don't get it, it's good. If you don't get it, I'm relieved. But it was like, what's the word? Okay, it's good. If you don't get it, it's good. All right. Because I was from the ghetto side of life last time, so I will know these words. All right. So those words, all right, when I saw those words, I snapped, because I said that, you know what that means. For you to carry those so publicly, you're insulting your mother. You're insulting the woman who spread her legs for strangers to give birth to you, and you're making fun of that part of the body. So I went on one lesson to tell them about the importance of respecting mothers, which is fundamentally not known to them. Their mothers are just people in the house that's supposed to give them money and set them to school. That's the role of their mothers. Some of them don't know what their mothers mean to them. And henceforth. So don't be surprised that it has gone that low, that students don't appreciate even the womb that held them. It has come to that level now. All right. If you can swear, all right, you know the word for us, ma, ibu, all these, ummi, are very precious words to us. These are very meaningful words. We don't want to abuse those words anymore. But sadly, it's a word. Right? Even now, the mother, all right, has been associated, linked to another word that's derogatory about mothers. Right? It's crazy. It's a crazy world we live in today. Therefore, the struggle for us today, the battle for us to fight today in our society is to uphold morality. All right, to make sure that we really uphold, all right, the basic. It's not even we're talking about religion here. We're talking about the basic ethics of humanity is to at least respect the person who gave birth to you. That's the most fundamental. How can you look towards the person who gave birth to you and then call her certain names, describe her in certain names, even though you're talking to another person? It's not right. All right, it's totally not right. That takes away the blessings from a community. So So that the qualities of good character, back to the book, have become his way of life, such as the qualities of patience and perseverance. So prayer, gratitude, reliance upon Allah. So you can see that the trait of a teacher, criteria of a teacher is that prayer, gratitude, that you only see general goodness in that person. In a teacher, you only see goodness. All right. So prayer, gratitude, reliance upon Allah, conviction, generosity, contentment, and tranquility of the soul, moderation, humility. So one of the things you'll see about teachers is that they are unfazed by the realities of the world. You know how they are unfazed? Their life still goes on, in the sense that no matter what challenges is put forth before them, they will continue worshiping. They will continue fasting. The Prophet ﷺ, all right, in whatever situation, whether it is in trial, whether it's in trial and tribulation, or whether he's having a time that is devoid of trial and tribulation, he's always in a state of worship and remembrance. To the point where when he sleeps, he's in a state of zikrullah. So you notice about teachers, always take guidance from them, even in current crisis, in current situations whereby everyone's angry. Look at how our teachers deal with it. How do they deal with it? Some of our teachers, they are silent. Someone saying, oh, this one is not saying anything. Because the teachers might be silent on social media, but they are speaking a lot to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Someone saying, oh, why is this sheikh not making us? Why is this sheikh not saying anything? This sheikh not saying anything because he's going straight up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for help. But in a world whereby everything needs to be made by an official statement, everything needs to be told by an official statement, what's your problem? Your teacher, your spiritual teacher, he doesn't have to make an official statement because he's not going to satisfy your soul. He's not going to satisfy your spirit, who is already blazing. All right, he is going to speak to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is going to give calmness to the world, to restore order to the world. Go straight to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. If you go to the plantations, if you have been to plantations before, the farmers don't talk when they work. But they are busy plowing. They are busy working. They don't talk. There's no chitter-chat. No. They just work and they plow and they plow. And what they have, they'll feed you till you're full. All right, so go ahead. We can be affected by things, but do not question the authority of people who are quiet. Because they are quiet does not mean that they are actually in agreement with what's ever happening. They are complaining a lot to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're making a lot to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Where are our night prayers in exchange for all these calamities in this world? Where is our night prayers? It's supposed to get us to wake up in the night. We are not doing so. That part is being done by our teachers. Those parts are being done by the pious. So it's fair. You share all the things on social media. Go ahead. You want to give an opinion. You want to share some facts, some realities. Fine. But there are some things that you need to go straight high up there. Those are your night prayers. Those are your zikrullah. Those are your istighfar. There's your salutations to the Prophet. Those are your reflections. Those are your tawbah. Those things, your teachers will guide you through it. Those things, you take heed from them. All right. So it's important for us to really understand these realities today. All right. So the teachers, they don't speak a lot. All right. Because they always speak necessarily upwards. All right. Dignity, serenity, deliberation, and other similar characteristics. He is then alike from the likes of the Prophet ﷺ and can be taken as a sheikh with all these attributes of a teacher. All right. But the presence of such pearl people, look at this, is rarer than red sulfur. Al-kibritul ahmar, the Arabic term. What is red sulfur? It is material that turns base metal into gold. Kibritul ahmar is a material that turns base metal into gold. It's rare. It's rare. So, Ustaz, how can I find a teacher like that? Find someone that ticks most of them. In general, a good teacher is of good character. In general, a good teacher is generally, holistically, a good person. In general, when you are in company of a good teacher, you end up being better. So how do you know in general? So in general, you look at the teacher, you see a teacher. The teacher in general will have praiseworthy character. If you see a teacher, he is devout. All right, you see that he is respectful towards creations. He is very earnest before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is knowledgeable. So look, most of the characteristics there, all right, are something that most teachers will have. Most guides will have. They will have a teacher. All right, they are devoid. they are not connect, they don't feel connected, they're yearning for the world. All right. Find a teacher. But what is most important for you to know is that you have the best teacher, but you must also know how to know if that teacher is good for you. Look at yourself. Do you become more knowledge? Do you become closer to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala? And is your character better? Just look at two things for ourselves. The teacher's boxes have been ticked. All right, the teacher have to do this. All right, have to have this. Okay, good. So it's like going to a good school. You choose a good school. Okay, I choose a good school for my secondary school or my junior college or my university. Okay, I'm doing this. Okay, I have. Don't forget one important thing. The institution might have it, but do you have it to be part of the institution? So you don't just put a criteria on the teachers. What about you yourself as part of that criteria? The outcome of seeking knowledge. Do you become closer to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala now? Before you knew your teacher, you were very late, you were slovenly. You're slacking off. Now that you know your teacher, you become empowered. You become energized. You feel spiritually uplifted to read the Quran, to do worship, to do more salutations upon the Prophet. And then when you know your teacher, before you know your teacher, your character was downtrodden. Now that you know your teacher, you have a character that is praiseworthy. You yourself become nicer to your neighbors. You yourself become someone who is more amana at work. You have more pride in doing work. You have care for the world. You have care for people around you. If you've developed good character and good relationship with Allah Subhanahu wa Taala after knowing a teacher, there is a sign that you have found the teacher. All right, you have to be better. Don't just put the burden of it on the teacher, on yourself. Have you become better? So someone was used to tell me, Ustaz, I've been looking, Ustaz. I went from one teacher to another teacher to another teacher to another teacher, and I still find that I can't find a good teacher. It's you. It's you, dude. It's you. You are blaming you as though you're blaming the teacher is not good enough for you. But you can go to a good school, but if you're not good enough for the school, then you are not good. So you have to actually work on yourself as well. You can't expect your teacher to be doing everything. If you have the best manager in the world, but if you don't train up, you won't be good. You'll just be the water boy. All right. So do not be the water boy in a spiritual group. All right. Be someone that is actively doing something to enhance yourself. All right. That's why it's called a guide. A guide, if you're talking about a guide here, in the modern sense, is you are lost. You are driving and you are lost. You need a guide. So the guide, he has a car. He says, okay, all right, you follow my car. So the guide takes his car and you follow his car. All right. Does that mean you don't have to drive? You have to drive. You have to make the left turns. You have to navigate the terrains when you are driving. It means that you have to have effort as well. The teacher is a guide, but the effort comes from you. You can have the best teachers in school. Some of us here are teachers in this group. You have the best teachers in school, but why are you still failing? Because the teacher has done his best or her best, but you are not. And that's what's happening now. If you don't do well, I used to tell my colleagues, being a teacher, this is always during results day. I always tell them, being a teacher is a thankless job, man. Take the credit before everyone else. I say, praise yourself first before that. Why? Because if the kids do well, they'll take the credit. If they do badly, you take the blame. So don't wait for the results to come out, man. Praise yourself first. Give yourself the credit. Give yourself the pats on the back. Because in the current system that we live in, the current world that we live in, is such that students, when they get the results, when it's good, it's all their effort. If it's badly done, then they start to look for their teachers. All right. So pat yourself on the back, teachers. Don't wait for the students to smack you on the head. All right. Hashtag. Okay. He who is fortunate enough to find such a murshid with the qualities that we have mentioned, and the murshid accepts him, then he should respect him outwardly and inwardly. All right. So the murshid must, Ustaz, is there rejection? Can a teacher guide not accept you? Yes. A guide might not accept you because the guide is humble about himself. All right. So the guide sometimes doesn't accept you. Why? Because the guide says it's the guide himself being humble and can't accept you. Because looking at your dynamics might not be something that I can handle. Or there is someone else in the vicinity, or someone else that is better off to be your teacher. All right. It's like schools. You go to a school, not all schools accept all students, even though they say that all school is a good school. Every school is a good school, but not all schools accept all kinds of students. Certain schools have specialization. All right. Some teachers. All right. So I have some my teachers, right? My first teacher, he's particular about decorum in the sense that everyone has to dress the same before him. Very disciplined. I was suffering because I was a young rebel, young punk. All right. You have to wear the same, all white. We have to wear imamah at all times in his classes. Imagine, Brother Irwan. All right. My late teacher last time, you have to wear white. You have to wear imamah. It's only white. You attend classes white, gathering in white. You have to wear imamah all the time. When you pray, you have to wear imamah. That kind of discipline. But I have teachers also who are okay. In the sense that as long as you're modestly covered up, you're covered up obligatory, you can come in whatever colors you want. All right. And in fact, my teacher, Sheikh Ahmad Sa'an, he dresses well. All right. He dresses in multiple ranges. Have you seen in multiple colors? And it's good for students like us who are coming from all walks of life. So different teachers have different criteria. All right. Different criteria. So do not feel offended. Oh, maybe that the teacher doesn't want me, he's rejecting me. No, because the teacher knows that you're going to suffer in his company. Look for someone else that you can actually fit in well. Unless you're willing to suffer. Unless you're willing to go through that process, then good. There are some teachers, even Quranic recitation, some teachers, every line, every sound must be tip-top, must be perfect. Why? Because they want you to get it right so that you always get it right throughout. You go through the hard process first. Even in the first lessons, wow, painful. But there are some teachers who just let you through. Why? They want you to get to the momentum of things, even for Quranic teaching. Some teachers are like, and that doesn't mean that the one who is very strict is worse than the one who is relaxed. And doesn't mean that the one who's relaxed doesn't care. He cares. That's why he's giving you he's letting you go for most of your mistakes, but pointing out only certain mistakes. If he was to be very particular, he knows that you'll be disheartened from learning. So every school, a good school, every teacher, a good teacher. All right. So find one that you can fit into and contribute the most to. All right. Outward respect entails very engaging, very, very intriguing session today, right? About talking about teachers. And I always like to relate to the realities today because so that we know, the standards. So say, why so difficult? Islam must find teachers that must find teachers until like that one. Yeah. Don't you do the same for your worldly knowledge? You find a good tuition teacher for your child. You don't settle for any tuition center. All right. You don't settle for any school, not just the one, even if there's a school that's in front of your house, because you see the students in that school. My child won't fit there, man. All right. Outwardly respect entails that he should not argue with him or engage in discussing each and every question, even if he knows that the sheikh is wrong. That's why even when you read this book, you have to have someone who guides you, even though he is not the guide. But then why is it important to know what does it mean here? Because if you read outwardly, you say, wow, even if the sheikh do wrong, cannot correct. This is problematic. Okay, let's get this right. Okay, this statement is very important. You do not argue with him or engage in discussing. Why? Firstly, when you learn, the point of learning is first to absorb. One of the problems with our habits today in learning is that we want to just question, but we are not there to absorb. This is different from the people of the past. Even geniuses of the past, they think and contemplate about the knowledge first. They take the knowledge first, and then they contemplate. They think about it, they process it, and then they ask. And when they ask, it is not because they are in doubt. They're not just because they want to challenge. They're asking because they are in doubt and they want clarification so that knowledge becomes illuminated to them. It's different from us today. We are in class, and I know of people who just come in sessions just to find a loophole to just whack or to just attack the teacher's assumptions or point. These people will never become exalted in knowledge. They think they are, but this is the worst kind of knowledge. This is the worst kind of state to be in. To think that you are knowledgeable when you're actually not. And to think that you're knowledgeable just because you can ask difficult questions. No. Look at the questions that the companions asked in the Prophet's time. They are simple questions, but they mean a lot. Like the Bedouin friend who asked the Prophet ﷺ, Mata Sa'a. That is the simplest of questions. When is the day of judgment? Mata Sa'a. When is the hour? That's a simple question. When is it? A simple question. And the Prophet's answer was, Mother, when, and from there on, the Prophet says, you are with whom you love in the hereafter. It's a simple question. Why is it the question is meaningful? Because he genuinely wants to know. So here he's talking about how when you're learning, you are finding loopholes, finding faults. Absorb first. And then when you're not certain, it disturbs you, you're not sure, you have not made peace with that knowledge, ask the teacher. All right. So one of the things that I always tell, that's why in class, my traditional approach when I'm even in college, when I teach, all right, there's a lecture, there's a tutorial at junior college level. I always say, lecture lessons, All right, lecture lessons are for two things. For you to absorb the information and to formulate your thoughts about it. You listen, and then you start to think about the content, contemplate the content. If you have questions, we'll raise it during tutorial lessons. So there's lecture, there's tutorials for clarification, tutorials for application, but you also absorb it in your lectures. All right. The same goes for science lessons, right? You have the theory lessons and you have the practical lessons. Okay, so it's important for us to think of that. And what's the point about even if he knows that the sheikh is wrong? Wrong here does not mean wrong in terms of haram. If you see a sheikh, remember that's why you go to the first criteria. The criteria is that the sheikh must be someone that is obedient. So if a sheikh doesn't fast, he's not a sheikh. A sheikh doesn't fast in Ramadan, 30 days, relax only. All right, in Ramadan, he doesn't fast, then he's not a sheikh. A sheikh doesn't pray 5 times a day. He misses his prayers deliberately with no other reason. He's not sick, he just doesn't pray. And he tells you, don't pray, don't have to pray, just spiritual. Then that's not sheikh. Then that is not a sheikh. Then you don't follow that person more. You should report that person for being deviant. All right. But here, wrong here means what? Wrong means in contrast to some of the things he teaches. For example, a sheikh tells you, fast on Mondays and Thursdays. What is the ruling for fasting on Mondays and Thursdays? Sunnah, recommended. All right. Then on Monday, you were walking and then you saw your sheikh buying food. Or you drop by your sheikh's house, he's eating. On a Monday, that is not a problem at all. Why? Because he's not fasting. Why is he not fasting? Maybe there's an occasion that he wants to celebrate. That's why he doesn't want to fast. Or maybe he doesn't want to fast. Why? Because he doesn't want to fast. Because it's sunnah. The Prophet ﷺ tells us about the benefit of duha, the prayer of duha. But if you read the Shama'il, the Prophet doesn't do duha all the time. There are times when he does his duha consistently. There are times when the Conference says that when he does his duha, he does it to the point where he asks, when is he going to stop doing duha every day? And there'll be a time whereby he doesn't do duha, that we ask, when is he going to start doing duha? So you must understand, therefore, that sometimes, so for example, your teacher says, do your Qabliyah and Ba'diyah, your 2 rakats before Zuhur, 2 rakats after Zuhur, for example. Then one day you are with your teacher, he doesn't do Qabliyah Zuhur. Or he doesn't do Ba'diyah after Zuhur, he just gets up and leaves. You should not question him and say, Sheikh, why are you not doing your Ba'diyah Zuhur? There should not be a question. Why? Because it's not obligatory. Maybe he's doing it at home. Maybe he's dealing it for another time. Maybe he's just not doing it because he wants to tell you that it's not obligatory. Your sheikh tells you, you shouldn't eat a lot. But one day, when he comes to your house, he ate the most. So sheikh teaches Brother Irwan, don't eat mee goreng a lot. All right, don't eat mee goreng a lot. All right, don't eat mee goreng. I have a text to show that. Don't eat mee goreng. It's not good, right? He comes to Brother Irwan's house, and Brother Irwan serves him mee goreng, and he ate the most mee goreng. And then you start saying, well, inshallah, Sheikh, you say don't eat a lot of mee goreng, you're eating a lot. You never know what's his intention. Is it because of being glutton? No. Why? He's taking care of, he's trying to please Brother Irwan, making him feel happy. Why? Because the mee was tasteless. It was tasteless, and everyone's eating a little bit, but the Sheikh's eating a lot. Why is he eating a lot? Because he wants to tell Brother Irwan, keep serving food. Don't dishearten him. Don't discourage him. When people come, no matter how badly your cooking is, serve good food. Serve your food, no matter. There. What's the reason? And that's the reason. All right. Sheikh Muhammad Alawi Al-Maliki, when he comes, this is one of his students used to tell me, when he goes to eat at his student's house, he will roll his sleeves. And he will eat, and he will eat, and he will eat. And then he will say, why is he eating a lot? Because he wants to make his students happy. They have prepared food for him. And then you just sit there and say, I will do zikr, will not eat. Oh, mashallah, I prepared food for you. I'll eat. That's why that's my principle now. If I go to Brother Irwan's house, it's because I want to make him happy. All right. And then I'll eat, and I'll eat, and I'll eat. All right. But I'm still not a sheikh. All right. Now, he should not spread his prayer mat before the sheikh, except at the time of prayer. Now, what does this mean? Teaching us the importance. So sometimes some of us, this is what? Humility. Teach you the importance of humility. Some of us are eager to please our teachers. So we show sometimes, you know why? Sometimes when there's no sheikh, you don't spread your prayer mat. Oh, there's sheikh is there, sheikh is there. So you come and take out your prayer mat. Oh, mashallah, Allahu Akbar. Take care of your heart. All right. Don't do things that are outwardly for your teachers. Be yourself before your teachers, but with due respect. All right. So know your protocol. The sheikh, that what it means that when you are before your teachers take the lead. Then you follow behind. Right? So the companions, when you have the Prophet ﷺ, they don't overtake the Prophet even in walking. They will always walk behind or by the Prophet, not in front of the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet takes the lead first. Unless ordered. Unless ordered. All right? You want to eat, don't eat first until your sheikh's eaten. And this is not something that is alien to us, maybe alien to our generation today. At home, who eats first? The parents start first. That's why there's the thing in Malay culture, right? Before you eat, what do you say? Jemput makan. You, even if they are not eating with you, you tell them they're in the room, you're eating. Mak, jemput makan. Mak, join me. I think it's in the Chinese culture as well. You ask them, beckon them to eat with you. There's that. There's adab. You don't just gouge your food and let a loud burp after that. All right. He should remove it. He should not offer excessive optional prayer in the presence of the sheikh. Why? To impress the sheikh. To tell the sheikh that I'm doing, no. All right. And should do whatever the sheikh. So this is the thing. So when you're in front of sheikh, all right, just do your as per normal. All right. Do not do things outwardly to impress your teacher. All right. And he should do whatever the sheikh commands him according to his capacity and ability. This is a very important thing to note of. Now, so whatever your teacher tells you to do, as long as it's not outwardly, all right, as long as it's not outwardly, it's not haram, all right, do it to your best ability. All right. So your intention is to serve your teacher. All right. Your intention is to serve your teachers. All right, to be of great help to them. And again, this was very normal in our time last time. Those of us my age, in 1980s, primary school last time. Remember, we always rush to carry the teacher's book. Teachers use the bullying of books, right? The teacher says, I'm going back to the staff room. You always rush for a chair. I help carry the book. Chair, I help to wipe the board. Where did all these values go now? You don't see this anymore, you know. No one rushes to offer you help. You can be carrying all the luggage you want. They just watch from afar. Teacher come already. They just watch from there. No one actually offers. Last time in primary school, I remember my primary school, Jinshan Primary School, Clementi. We will actually wait for the teacher to come to school. Wait at the car park. 5, 6 of us. The teacher comes. We will just, and remember our teacher, Miss Tan. She will come, her car, her Nissan Sunny comes in. We will go to a lot. And then whatever she carries, we want to carry. Whether it is her bag, whether it's her handbag, whether it's whatever. There was no laptop last time. Whether it was a textbook, whatever her market, we'll carry. Even though some of us there never do homework, never pass a test, we will do that. We just are eager to please the teachers. We want to do service to them. It doesn't happen now. That's why maybe in the knowledge, we have a society that might be intelligent, but they are not gracious. We have a society that is smart, but not compassionate. This is why, because we don't have that, because the system takes it away from them. Right? The emphasis takes it away from them. Right? The world demands that it's a very functionalistic world. It doesn't have any spirit in it. It doesn't carry any spirit in it. All right? But also remember, to the best of your ability, you know what? Even though there's a guideline for students how to behave before the teachers have their own guidelines as well. So you notice teachers are not overbearing on the students. That's why to your best ability. If you cannot, then don't do. If you can go, then you go. All right? Teachers are like that. All right? They don't enforce themselves upon you unless they know you can, but you do not know that you can. They will try to push you to do better. Some teachers know. He say, Ustaz, my sheikh is making me wake up at night. I cannot. He's forcing me. He's not forcing you, dude. He knows you can, but you are not doing it. Why? He knows you wake up every night to watch football. If you can wake up for football, you can wake up for night prayers. And he's trying to tell you that convert that night prayer time, convert that football time to night prayers now. Because you can do it. It's not beyond your means. He knows that. Your teacher knows your ability that you're not reaching. So this being is empowering you. He's maximizing your potential. That's different from you if you are sick and your teacher forces you to get up and pray. That's different. All right. Wallahu alam bisawab. All right. MashaAllah, today's lesson about teachers. Any questions? Al-Fatiha. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان بسم الله. sallallahu ala sayyidina maulana Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi. Thank you, Ustaz.
Thank you. Thank you, Wan.
Thank you.
You Ustaz.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi.